a lot of tears have been happening within the different dimensional spaces, because not only of beings and people creating things, but machines that have been created. And this has been discussed before, but this was tearing gaps between spaces, allowing energy to come through from completely different universe spaces that are not supposed to be here. And this caused, as we could say, an infestation of bugs and creatures that were not supposed to be on this planet.
Is that the information we got when we were talking about the Hadron Collider, right? Where he was saying it was allowing interdimensional kind of species to come into this dimension to lower the frequency.
Yes.
Okay.
And as well as there was a surrogate that you did, where there was a girl who had the ability of her soul that was here to eat and remove all of those things. So these gaps and these, as we could say, creatures were not supposed to be here. And they were attacking anything with a higher light frequency. So that's why many couldn't understand that they are doing all the right things, but yet they still get put back or get knocked down. But because there wasn't a broader understanding of what is happening, we did not want to spread fear at that time to let everyone know. That's why it was just very important, and still is important, for all to just connect on the inside. The thing is, we know we sound like a broken record when we say connect to the heart, connect to the heart. And we know the next question is, what is connecting to the heart? How can we connect to the heart? And how do we do it right? But we want to describe it a little different than usual, because we feel that the more Natasha grows, the more we can also learn from her by learning the vocabulary and learning how to describe it. But the electromagnetic field of the heart creates, as we could say, a vortex, which moves up from the half of the body, over the head, back in through the body, and swirls down the body. So it creates a figure of 8, but not a perfectly halved one, a bit more from under the rib cage, just under where the heart is. Does this already create a better picture of how the electromagnetic field moves?
I think just kind of make the figure, and then we'll see. I've just moved the camera.
So it is from just under the heart and the rib cage. It moves up over the head, behind the body, comes at the back of the body, back into that rib cage, going through to the front, under the feet, and then back up again. And it creates that type of figure of 8.
Okay.
It is bigger at the bottom and smaller at the top. But it's very important to know that the energy must swing from the front to the back, and then from the middle down again. Because if you swing from the back going up, you will break down that defense of the electromagnetic field and open up the vortex.
Okay.
So when working with the chamber of the heart and understanding the way that it works, when you physically connect to it, all is connected via the heart, but none are connected to the actual energy. So understand it as such. When the heart is moving, it is pumping, it is sending out that frequency, and that frequency is attracting things to it. But your vortex in your field, and the way that you think and the way that you speak and everything that's trapped in your field, creates little buffers and stations in between of what it drags back towards that area. So far, is this making sense?
Yes.
So what happens is, when you are working with the vortex and you are clouded in those areas, with your thoughts is the largest connection that clouds that area, which then creates blocks and halts of what comes back. Therefore, it is altering what you're going to perceive in your now moment. So let us say your heart is directing you towards a place. And let us say this place is where you are going to be able to get more luck or feel more lucky in a way. Now your thoughts are clouding with what is happening. So it creates little buffers in between that makes you lag in that moment, that you actually pull yourself away from that memory of where you need to go and go to a different space, and you don't achieve that, then it creates a little gap within the field because you're missing all the little alignments. And that is why many feel disappointed in their daily lives or with their thought base. This is why it is important to control your thoughts, not because you're not allowed to have them, but the more you put into that field, the more the buffering that you make, the less that can come back to you. Now, so what happens is your heart-based frequency is the beacon of what is meant for you. So this means that when you step inside of the fifth construct, you do not need manifestations and things like that. Everything is already set up for you. You just get attracted to it like a magnet. When it shoots out, it pulls you in that direction of that timeline where that becomes a reality for you. Does this make sense?
Yes.
So the more that you connect to that space and allowing a clear frequency to shoot out, the more you will get attracted to where you need to go and how you need to go onto your highest timeline. And the more you stay in that energy, the more it becomes stronger around your field and it gets thicker. And the thicker it becomes, the more it creates a type of bubble texture around the body. And when it creates that texture, it starts to change in color, which creates looking like a rainbow frequency. And when it creates this rainbow aura, it spreads out further and further and further from the body, which means that you are with inside of your own construct of your universe. Then you can only get messages bouncing back from what you need from your soul and getting a higher link and connection from your soul that is not, as we could say, corrupted by outside figures that want to mislead you so that they can feed off your energy or push you into a direction that they see fit. Then it becomes an internal structure and it holds you, and it becomes like a capsule. You can move through dimensional spaces. You can play with your physical technology within your body in a safe realm, because then it will not echo out into someone else's field. And this is a very important thing to know, because this, as we could say, timeline is shifting and changing. This is something that you two were just discussing now. There is rips and holes happening. As we can say, you're in the third phase of the tear. So as you can remember, we have told you before, when you were in the first phase, when the worlds were slowly starting to pull away. Now there's already been a gap, and now there's another gap, and slowly it's pulling away from each other, the third and the fifth. But also the fourth is being pushed into its own. So there is a 3-phase cycle that's happening. So it's getting harder to jump from third to fourth and from fourth to fifth. But you can move between fourth and fifth if you are solidly covered within your bubble, because you can match that frequency space that makes you be able to move over a lot quicker. But when you don't have, as we could say, let us call it your shield, just as an example. If you don't have this shield-based frequency, then you don't have that momentum that pulls you like a magnet into that frequency, and then it is harder for you because you first need to cover all the gaps inside so that you can move. It's like creating a space between you with oxygen, and you start moving up and flying up. But if there is plugs or holes inside of the balloon, it's going to fall down.
Because you were saying this figure of 8, almost infinity symbol that one needs around one. It's almost like the chakra systems in your body, where it's like should be in alignment, but this is like a different figure. It's this infinity figure, which kind of is more in a loop. So this needs to be worked on in terms of like visualizations and energetically, in order to strengthen it so that we can kind of move between dimensions, but also strengthen our own physical body. Is that accurate?
Yes, because this is not, as we could say, chakra work. This is heart. This is what we mean when we say connect to the heart, feel the heart, listen to your heart. It has its own frequency. So the easiest way to say it is there is only one frequency, the original frequency. But it gets played at different levels and different tones, and then that creates different dimensions and different spaces. But when you connect to that original frequency, then it is leaving you to be able to connect it to everything that's connected to that frequency, therefore allowing you to move through it without having blocks, or, as we could say, without moving, without hesitation, if that's an accurate way of describing.
Okay.